Of course, there's other ways to manipulate people without using drugs. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Like maybe hypnotism? Did you think that? Well, the CIA did too. This is the most interesting part to me, where they have a full-on interview with a professional hypnotist, and this is where it's gonna get a little contradictory to what they said earlier, that like non-willing people can't be hypnotized, because that is not what this man said. On Thursday, 21st of February in 1952, the writer had an extended interview with Redacted, a very long line of Redacted. The conversation lasted from 3 p.m. to approximately 6:30 p.m. The interview was laid on through the contact branch, and introductions were made through Redacted of the New York City contact office. No difficulties were encountered in this matter. 2. Redacted is a professional hypnotist of exceptionally good reputation. He apparently has other means and has been a professional engineer and accountant. Wow, get you a man who can do both, am I right, ladies? His apartment is in a deluxe apartment neighborhood in Redacted and is exceptionally good taste. Did that matter? That mattered so much that they had to put wow, his apartment is really nice. He's really good at decorating. Just for research purposes, Redacted resides there with his sister. Number 3. Redacted is about 6 feet tall, wears horn-rimmed glasses, has a strong, aggressive look, and physically is quite impressive. And he's a bachelor. I'm just kidding. That's not what it said. The bachelor part is unconfirmed. I would assume he does not have a wife, though, because it's not mentioned. He appears highly intelligent, was courteous, amiable, and cooperative throughout. But before getting to cases, the writer fenced with Redacted for approximately 3/4 of an hour, talking generally about hypnosis and not disclosing positive security interests. Oh my gosh. They fenced for 45 minutes this is official paid time. This man is being paid by the government to fence with a hypnotist. What? I told you this part was wild, okay? After establishing in the writer's mind that Redacted was competent and thoroughly understood the meaning of secrecy, the writer opened up and discussed positive matters. Set out below are a series of questions and answers which cover in substance the details of the interview with Redacted. Question 1. Question: what are your experiences in general with hypnotism? Answer: I have been a professional hypnotist for at least 15 years. At present, I am employed on a very confidential basis, 2 days a week, working in the Redacted. I also work constantly. Redacted. I work as a Redacted, and I work continuously with all types of patients at Redacted. I'm not teaching hypnotism now, but I have taught many individuals hypnotism in the past. So, ladies, if you're looking for a single 6-foot horn-rimmed wearing hypnotist, just look for him at Redacted. Question: what part do you think did hypnotism play in the Redacted and other show trials by the USSR and their satellites? Of course they brought in the Soviet Union. No, that makes sense. I'm sorry, guys. This is the first time I'm thoroughly reading through all of this. I kind of only skimmed over it because I'm lazy. So I'm kind of experiencing this all with you. Answer: in my personal opinion, hypnosis possibly combined with duress and possibly drugs is how the confessions were brought about. I have long been interested in these trials, and I believe it's entirely possible to bring these things about through these techniques. It would take a great deal of continuous application and study of the individual to produce these results, but the enemy has plenty of time and is capable of using any method. Question: can you obtain hypnotism from an individual, willing or unwilling, by hypnotism? Answer: this is the part that contradicts. Remember I said that earlier? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Definitely yes. Many of the medical cases I work on are involved in obtaining personal, intimate information, and through hypnotism I have been quite successful in obtaining these. If an individual refuses to cooperate with hypnosis, the doctors with whom I work use drugs, always sodium amytal. So yeah, see? I mean, they very much can do this on unwilling people. They just got to pump them full of drugs. And, you know, they haven't exactly shied away from that in the past. So, like, I really would not be surprised if they were just drugging everyone who didn't want to be hypnotized. Question. Do you think that this system would be useful in obtaining information from a recalcitrant, obstinate, and entirely uncooperative individual? Answer. Yes, definitely. That is the only way to approach this type of individual, but even at that, you would have to study your individual psychologically. And the matter... I need to sneeze. Sorry. Even at that, you would have to study your individual psychologically, and the matter would require great skill. All people have to be approached in different manners as far as hypnotism goes, but if you could gain their confidence, or at least indicate so, they would clearly understand you were not hostile to them, and your battle will be more than half won. Yeah, not hostile at all. Just not hostile at all. But if you don't cooperate, I am going to be forced to put sodium amytal into your system. I don't think I said that right. Question. How far do you think individuals could be controlled by hypnosis? Answer. This is a very difficult subject. Post-hypnotics will last 20 years and will be very strong if reinforced from time to time. However, if direct control is wanted, and particularly without reinforcement, perhaps 12 hours would be the most you could expect, and even then, a possibility exists that the person under hypnosis might suddenly be wakened by some external stimulus. Yeah, great. No, great. No, that's exactly what they need. That's exactly what they need is 12 hours control of, you know, a human being, a living, breathing, thinking person with life of their own, loved ones and all that. That's exactly what they need. A method to control them. Yeah. Question. Have you ever had any experience with drugs? What they didn't know at the time was that the hypnotist was actually completely stoned during the interview. I'm kidding again, if that wasn't obvious. I wish, though. Answer. Yes, many times. I have worked with doctors using sodium amytal and pentothal and have obtained hypnotic control after the drugs were used. Oh, you meant on other people. Okay. In fact, many times these drugs were used for the purpose of obtaining hypnotic control. Great. No, that's great. Questions. Were there any other drugs used? Do you know any new drugs or any wonder drugs that can be used in this business? I'm sorry, this is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous thing to be reading. No, I have known doctors try other drugs, but they do not have any success, and almost always, without exception, in my work, sodium amytal and pentothal are the weapons used. You really like those two, don't you? If I had to tackle a case, tough and unwilling, I would rely on sodium amytal. I get it. I get it. You love the sodium, okay? You love the salt. Give it a rest. I do not know of any, quote, wonder drugs. I do not believe they exist, and none of the psychiatrists and doctors I work with use anything but those I have mentioned. Question. Have you ever heard of hypnosis being used in connection with electroshock? Great. Electrocuting people. That's... Remember when we talked about that last time? That was fun, wasn't it? Answer. No, I am familiar with the electroshock convulsion and coma, but I have never attempted to obtain hypnotic control thereafter and have never heard of anyone doing this. However, some of my friends who are psychiatrists constantly use electroshock, and I have complete access to their work. I shall make some experiments along these lines in the near future, and when I see you again, we will discuss the results of this. No, don't encourage it. Don't encourage Professor Hornrim to... Seriously. Question. Are there any individuals you might know who would be worthwhile in contacting along these lines? Answer. Offhand, I cannot think of anyone except redacted is perhaps one of the outstanding redacted in the country, thoroughly understands drugs and is well acquainted with my work. As far as hypnotists are concerned, I do not believe that there are 5 competent hypnotists in the U.S. today, and I have nothing but contempt for the college professor who talks about hypnosis. This man is so cocky. What the hell? I am the only hypnotist that you should be contacting. Are you seeing other hypnotists? I feel so betrayed. What about all those people he said he trained? Are you saying you're not a good teacher? since there aren't even 5 competent hypnotists in the US, that means not even 5 of your students have been taught well. But hey, you didn't hear from me. Question, would you accept pupils for the private coaching? Same explanation as above. Answer, yes, I think I could train an individual or at least give him a substantial background in 2 weeks, working out with him 3 times a week. Well, if you can't even get 5 good hypnotists in America, then I don't think you are equipped to be doing any training. Not that I condone any of that hypnotism training stuff. I don't. Stop trying to control people. Just leave them alone. Question, do you have any ideas that hypnotism could be used as a weapon? Answer, yes, I have thought about this often. Oh, I'm so glad. It could certainly be used in obtaining information from recalcitrant, they really like that word, people, particularly with drugs. Furthermore, it can be used as a morale factor, and in addition, it could be used as a recruiting source for special types of work. I will explain the last two. You will have large DP camps in Europe and Asia. You have to entertain these people. A good professional hypnotist is a good entertainer. Yeah, I mean, party tricks, am I right? Using mass hypnotic methods, he could drive home thoughts that would be of great benefit to our side. Individuals that he gained control of through hypnotic influence could be converted to the strong supporters of our viewpoint through suggestions. Oh, that's great. Just wonderful. That's exactly what we need. More suggestion in the world. The opposite of this, of course, would hold true. Furthermore, along these lines, a good hypnotist running hypnotic shows for entertainment would pick up a great many subjects, some of whom might be exceptionally good subjects for us. These subjects could easily be tapped and put to our use. Wonderful. There's more. Have you ever been able to produce hypnosis without an individual's knowledge? Yes, through the relaxing techniques and on rare occasions, I've been able to produce hypnotism against a person's will. Great. However, you cannot count on this, and to attempt to attack an individual who did not want to be hypnotized alone would be almost an impossible task. Except for him, you know, because he's Mr. Magic. He can do anything, because he is the best hypnotist in the world, and no one can compare to him, obviously. In that type of case, I would use sodium amytal and/or sodium pentothal. You just love your sodium, don't you? I bet you use a lot of table salt. Do you have any special techniques that you think are valuable? All techniques are valuable. I use about 18 different approaches to individuals ranging from fear to anxiety to deception, etc., etc. Great. All of those, as we know, are classically positive traits. You know, I love fear, anxiety, and deception. Only skilled professional hypnotists have proper training and work at it often enough to be skilled hypnotists. Let me guess, you're one of them. I would be glad to show you all of my techniques when we have time to discuss them. I'm sure you love to talk about you and your techniques, don't you? You just love yourself so much. There is a peculiar and somewhat dangerous technique involving pressure on the carotid artery. You can't do that. I don't know where that is, but it doesn't sound good. The technique of using pressure on this artery is largely a matter of timing. Pressure in the right places cuts off the flow of blood to the brain, apparently causing a rapid coma-like condition. During this condition, hypnotic control can sometimes be attained. The technique is not easy to learn. I have tried it only a few times, but it has been successful. So, like, what little tiny bits of faith I had in humanity are really, really fighting to stay in right now. How effective are post-hypnotics, and over what distance and time can they be effective? Properly used, post-hypnotics will last 20 years. They can be made more effective by reinforcement from time to time. Post-hypnotics are not affected at all by time or travel or distance away from the person who placed the post-hypnotics. As a rule, post-hypnotics should be 100% effective in a good subject, and they would certainly be more effective than a person operating under direct hypnotic control. Since a person in this hypnotic trance can suddenly be brought out of it for various reasons, particularly after many hours, while a post-hypnotic will always remain strong. I don't know what a post-hypnotic is. I assume it's like just a suggestion kind of deal. I'm not sure. Let me look it up. of relating to or characteristic of the period following a hypnotic trance during which the subject will still carry out suggestions made by the operator during the trance state post-hypnotic suggestion. Okay. There you go, folks. That's what it means. Can individuals be made to do things under hypnosis that they would not do otherwise? This is a muchly debated subject, and in my opinion, as a general rule, no individual will do anything against his moral code or upbringing under a hypnotic trance they would not do otherwise. However, it should be remembered that the proper type of conditioning and a very intelligent and understanding approach using psychology, individuals could be taught to do anything, including murder, suicide, etc. Great. This would be difficult, but I believe it could be done by a careful process of conditioning and a person psychologically while under a hypnotic state, setting a stage for an act as it were. I do not have much faith in the test experiments in colleges because they are by their very nature experiments or tests. I do believe that you could carry out acts that would be against an individual's moral feelings if they were rightly psychologically conditioned. Great, just wonderful. Of course, it would not be as much of a problem to have an immoral person commit an immoral act or a murderer commit a murder, since by their very nature they would have no hesitancy to do such a thing in their normal life. I do not know of any drugs that would do this under any circumstance, but I do feel that the redacted and other familiar cases in which individuals confess to crimes which they could not have possibly committed was brought about by hypnosis. As I mentioned before, and lengthy psychological conditioning. The question itself, of course, is one that has been debated a great many times, but is difficult to actually arrange a practical test. Do you have any special techniques or ideas for detecting if an individual is under hypnosis or not? Yes, I have several methods for this, and if I see you again, I will go over these in detail with you. There are certain tests that I make which I think are very effective. Along the same line, I am also using several methods for detecting when individuals are faking or play acting with me or feigning hypnosis. I love the fact that there have been enough people that pretend that they're hypnotized that he had to come up with a whole way of figuring out when they're pretending. I think that's great. He really just goes, I'll see you again, I'll tell you later, I'll tell you later, I'll tell you later. I know everything, but I can't tell you right now. I will tell you later. I promise, I know everything. The rest here is just about alcohol. Yeah, the rest of this is kind of boring, and I don't feel like reading it, and I'm tired, and I'm just feeling very demotivated lately. I'm gonna say what I always say, what the fuck. The craziest part, I think, to me, was the hypnotist guy. He was just so confident about his abilities and just so nonchalant about, oh yeah, no, I've hypnotized several people who didn't want it. I could probably make them commit a murder if I tried really hard. Okay, why? Listen, I'm tired. This took a lot out of me. I know a lot of things now that I probably don't need to. And I have lost what little faith in the CIA that I had left, which wasn't much. Yeah, there's a lot more to go through. But I'm, like I said, tired. I am so tired. If you want to look through all 4,000 some pages, go right ahead. The link is, as always, down below. But for now, remember to drink water, because I sure as hell won't. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
I bite at the hand that feeds me, slap at the face that eats me, some kind of animal cannibal.